The Behavioral Integrity Institute wasn't a castle, but its penthouse suite, high above the metropolitan sprawl, conveyed a similar cold, unyielding authority. Its director, Dr. Eleanor Vance, 30, held a reputation not for medieval brutality, but for devastating psychological precision. Her precious object wasn't a necklace, but a quantum encryption drive, the repository of their entire institution's intellectual property, a symbol of absolute, untouchable trust. It was gone. The breach was internal, the security logs pointing only to the 3 senior research assistants who had access to the restricted area. Marjorie, 25, the outspoken team lead; Alice, 26, the nervous data specialist; and Joan, 24, the quiet protocol officer. All 3 were bound by the Adult Sensory Integrity Contract ASIC, a voluntarily signed agreement that mandated intense sensory feedback, ISF, a highly controlled, non-injurious psychological tool should a grave breach of loyalty occur. Dr. Vance, sharp in her bespoke slate gray suit, stood before the empty, velvet-lined dock station where the drive had rested. She didn't believe in punitive physical violence. She believed in the overwhelming, shattering power of sensory truth. Her method, the ISF protocol, was designed to bypass the conscious, rehearse lie by overloading the body's natural defense mechanisms until the subject's absolute commitment to the truth emerged. She picked up the specialized tool, not a feather, but a carbon fiber brush tipped with soft filaments, calibrated to maximize cutaneous sensitivity from a sterile tray. The time for denial was over. The time for the sensory fidelity test was beginning. Alistair's failure had been a matter of ethics. This was a matter of professional treason, demanding an equally overwhelming consented to and systematic consequence. Asterisk Dr. Vance, her voice is calibrated, quiet, and carries across the vast minimalist boardroom. The prototype Q drive is absent. It was last logged into the secure vault this morning. Only 3 individuals, all senior personnel, possess the level 4 clearance code necessary for entry. That is you 3, Marjorie, Alice, and Joan. The 3 adult women stood before her, the halogen lights reflecting off the polished marble floor. Marjorie, 25, with her fiery red hair pulled back in a severe bun, spoke first. Closing parenthesis Marjorie. Dr. Vance, I swear on my professional reputation, I didn't touch it. I only entered to retrieve the daily reports. Alice, 26. Twisting her hands together nervously beneath the sleeves of her tailored, black uniform jacket, I was in and out in under 90 seconds, Director. I wouldn't risk my career for anything. Joan, 24. Completely silent, her gaze fixed on the floor, betraying no emotion. Closing parenthesis Dr. Vance. She walked slowly around the immense mahogany table, her expensive heels clicking softly. Silence or denial. Both are equally unacceptable in the face of this profound breach of trust. When we all signed the SIC 1 year ago, we agreed that in the event of a critical security lapse directly attributable to personnel with access, the standard investigation would be supplemented by Protocol Omega, sensory fidelity testing. If you will not verbally confess to this theft, this betrayal of the Institute's core integrity, then you leave me no choice but to initiate the protocol. A palpable ripple of fear ran through the 3 adult women. They knew the ASIC terms were strict, voluntary, and non-negotiable. Dr. Vance, guards, prepare the sensory feedback chamber. Retrieve the ASIC forms for final acknowledgement. 2 adult security specialists, both in their late 20s, stepped forward, their movements efficient and professional. They presented a sleek tablet to each woman. Security specialist, Miss Thorne, Miss Davies. Ms. Miller, please review and digitally reaffirm your acceptance of the ASIC. Clause 7, application of intense sensory feedback for loyalty efficacy testing. Marjorie hesitated. her jaw tight but then pressed the screen. Alice did the same, her hand shaking. Joan signed without looking up, her silent acceptance perhaps the most chilling. Dr. Vance, very well. Proceed to the chamber. The test begins now. Asterisk, the chamber, situated 3 levels below ground, was not medieval, but cold and clinical stainless steel and sterile white composite, designed for maximum acoustic isolation. Iron rings and stocks were replaced by specialized, ergonomically designed restraint systems built into the floor and walls. Dr. Vance, entering the chamber, carrying a specialized multi-tipped sensory tool from the sterile trolley. Expect discomfort. Expect sensory overload. Do not expect violence. This protocol is about consensual, systematic, psychological pressure to elicit truth. As agreed upon by all 4 parties, asterisk, the security specialists worked quickly, professionally, ensuring the subjects were restrained according to the ASIC specifications. Marjorie, 25, was secured to a specialized vertical apparatus, her hands cuffed above her head to a pneumatic clamp, leaving her sides and armpits exposed. Alice, 26, was secured into a floor-mounted positioner that stabilized her body while leaving her adult bare feet protruding and exposed. Joan, 24, was secured face-up on a narrow, heavily padded steel bench, her arms and legs secured by wide, soft leather straps, leaving her abdomen and ribcage exposed. Their formal uniform shoes and socks had been removed, leaving their adult solace, vulnerable. Closing parenthesis, Dr. Vance, walking to the trolley and selecting a fine, electrically charged microfilament brush, calibrated to produce maximum nerve stimulation without penetration or harm. Marjorie, the outspoken, determined one. We begin with you. Asterisk, Dr. Vance. Where is the drive, Marjorie? The full truth now. Marjorie, straining against the vertical cuffs, her face flushed. I told you. I don't know. You can't break me with this. I signed the papers, but I know my limits. Dr. Vance said nothing. She applied the microfilament brush to the tender, delicate skin of Marjorie's right armpit. The sensation was immediate and overwhelming. Marjorie shrieked, a sound of pure, involuntary sensory shock, followed by uncontrolled, hysterical laughter. Marjorie, screaming through laughter. No, stop it. It tickles. I can't think. Dr. Vance, her voice calm, clinical, cutting through the rising tide of hysteria. The truth, Marjorie. The truth is the only release. You are 25 years old. This is consensual. The brush worked its way across Marjorie's ribs and down her side. She thrashed violently against the pneumatic cuffs, her body arching and twisting, tears of laughter streaming down her cheeks. The ASIC allowed for no verbal pleas to halt the process, only the admission of guilt, asterisk, when Marjorie was reduced to gasping. Shuddering laughter, Dr. Vance turned to Alice, 26, whose adult bare feet were presented helplessly through the floor positioner. Alice was already weeping, watching Marjorie's ordeal. Closing parenthesis, Dr. Vance. Alice, the nervous one, always seeking approval. Did you steal the drive? The truth, Alice. Alice, sobbing, I don't. I can't. Please, my lady. Dr. Vance. I didn't. Dr. Vance crouched, selecting a different tool, a high-frequency sonic stylus, designed to create an intense vibration-based sensory overload on the solace of the feet. She applied the stylus to Alice's arch, Alice, exploding into high-pitched giggles, her body shaking as she tried to pull her feet back, but the restraint held her absolutely firm. Ha ha ha. No, please. I can't bear it. I don't know where it is. Huh. Dr. Vance moved the stylus to the space between Alice's toes, pressing with systematic, measured pressure. The overwhelming vibration caused Alice to writhe, pounding the padded restraint with her hands. Dr. Vance, clinical. Detached, Your somatic response indicates extreme distress and a clear failure to maintain mental control. The ASIC states this sensory feedback continues until the cognitive block is released. Where did you hide the Q drive, Alice? The process continued, focusing on the sensitive skin of Alice's adult solace, until she was screaming incoherently through breathless laughter, the intensity designed to break her carefully constructed denial. Asterisk. Dr. Vance finally approached Joan. 24, the silent one, secured on the bench, her abdomen and ribs exposed. Joan's silence had been unnerving, suggesting the deepest psychological control. Dr. Vance, Joan, the quiet observer, the most likely to be systematically deceptive. I am not asking you if you know who took it. I am asking you who you were working with, Joan. She remained stiff, her eyes wide, but her mouth remained clamped shut. Dr. Vance used a third tool, a pair of flexible, dull plastic hooks designed to provide intense scratching pressure. She began tracing the hooks lightly over Joan's adult belly and up towards her ribs. Joan's composure shattered instantly. A shriek of involuntary laughter tore from her throat as she twisted against the leather straps with terrifying force. The sensation of the hooks dragging across her sensitive skin was too much. Closing parenthesis, Joan. Loud, gasping laughter. Ha. Stop. I can't. I can't tell you. Dr. Vance. She presses a hook lightly into Joan's belly button, the sudden, sharp pressure triggering an even more violent reaction. Speak, Joan. Release the cognitive block. Who facilitated the removal of the drive? The chamber filled with the horrifying chorus of 3 adult women screaming and sobbing with laughter. A systematic psychological breakdown under the consensual, relentless sensory attack. Dr. Vance rotated between them, never allowing one to fully recover, ensuring the sensory overload remained total.
After an hour of continuous sensory feedback, Marjorie's laughter was reduced to broken, desperate sobs, her body trembling uncontrollably. Dr. Vance, standing over Marjorie, waiting. The truth, Marjorie. Now, Marjorie, gasping between violent, shaking laughs. H-A. Stop. Please. I took it. It was me. I hid it. H.A. Dr. Vance. The microfilament brush immediately ceases its work. The silence is deafening. Where? Specifics, Marjorie. Marjorie. Sobbing, in the clean storage facility. Under the linens for the executive dining room. Alice, 26, and Joan, 24, both still secured and writhing from the aftershocks of the sensory overload, immediately burst out their own confessions. Alice, wailing, we helped her. I'm so sorry. It was just a test. We didn't think you'd actually... H.A. Joan, her voice finally returning, strained and breathless. We did it for a dare. Please forgive us, Dr. Vance. The security specialists, following the precise protocol, located the Q drive exactly where Marjorie had confessed. Dr. Vance returned to the chamber, holding the drive aloft, its indicator light gleaming. Dr. Vance, her voice, though calmer, carried the absolute weight of her authority. You thought the adult sensory integrity contract was a formality. You thought the intense sensory feedback was a theory. You believed your petty dishonesty would go unpunished. You have learned a profound, sensory truth tonight. Betrayal, even in the form of a misguided test, will be met with the full, consensual force of the Institute's protocols. Laughter is the most effective solvent for the dishonest adult ego, she ordered their release. The 3 adult women stumbled out of their restraints, flushed, exhausted, and deeply humbled, their bodies still shaking from the sensory ordeal. They had been tested to their absolute limits and had broken, as per the ASIC's design. Dr. Vance, report to the debriefing room. You will each write a 5,000-word analysis on the psychological mechanisms of sensory truth extraction and why you willingly failed your commitment. This lesson, I guarantee, will stay with you longer than any bruise. And tell me this, when the ASIC mandates that sensory overload is the consequence for dishonesty, Does this method promote genuine loyalty or merely compliance through overwhelming sensory dread?